Hey, I promised you another update, and here it is. Good evening, everybody. Chris Allen here with your 270 weather for the 270 area code and beyond. Of course, we're watching what is taking place back to the west, and it's still on track. Everything is still on track at this point. Now, at some point this evening, I'm going to, have to switch gears here and get ready to more than likely, and I've been talking all afternoon, really all day, to Scott and Micah and the rest of our team at News 40 as to, when do we activate? When do we pull the trigger? When do we think that we're going to have to do the coverage here for Bowling Green and all of Southern Kentucky? And that window is starting to kind of close now as we're starting to see a lot more activity back to the west coming our way. But here's the thing, it's now after 7 p.m. Central Time, and the sun has set, and the clouds are thickening up a little bit more. And within the next, I would say, 3 to 4 hours, we're going to begin to see a lot of activity then moving in toward I 65 and the Bowling Green, Southern Kentucky area, and the majority of the 270. So we're not that far away. This should be the time to wrap up any kind of preparedness that you've been planning to take. This should be right now, should be the time that you should have, a plan in place where you're going to go and what you're going to do should you have a tornado warning, because a tornado warning is very possible as we get on into this evening and as we get close to late night and even beyond that for those of you that live east of Interstate 65. So let's get started with what's going on right now. And as you look at radar, and I've got radar in a different mode, so I can kind of see things a little differently than I normally show them. But you can see that everything's quiet here in Bowling Green, but we are keeping an eye on, from the Paducah Weather Service radar, you can see that there are some pretty hefty rain showers that have started to get going ahead of the main line, which is back here in Missouri, now moving toward, this is the Boot Hill, Missouri, Interstate 55, 57, where they conjoin here. And, we're talking about areas back toward Sikeston, Missouri, those of you that know this area, and back toward Benton, Cape Girardeau, and those places. So we've got numerous, tornado warnings that are going on back that direction. Now, we'll tell you, even though there are numerous tornado warnings here, and you can go all the way up. This is that main line that continues to be rather active. Mount Vernon, Illinois. Most of these are severe thunderstorm warnings that you see up there toward Mount Vernon as the sweep scan goes around. And there's not as much lightning with these warnings, say up around Effingham, Illinois, and in toward places like, Champaign, Urbana. We're getting on up into Illinois. Let me turn on that radar. You can see there's lightning, yes, and there's a couple of tornado warnings up that way once you turn on those radars. And you can see that even along those tornado warnings and along that line, there are Lots of some lightning strikes, but then we're getting these really. This was what I explained to you last night and earlier today when I did one of these updates where the winds are pushing out and causing these little pooches in the line, these little places where the winds just kind of pooch out ahead of the main line and causes these little wiggles and these little S curves. And you can see that right there on some of those S curves is where we have these little tornado warnings that are popping up. There's a bunch of them. And so the thing that I've noticed, though, and I've been watching for the last several hours since I talked to you last, there hasn't been a lot of damage from just checking what we call the LSRs, which is the local storm reports. There has been damage in a sense of wind damage, but tornado damage, not so much. There have been just little tornadoes that have spawned up around a lot of these lines. You can see that this line really weakens. Let me get the St. Louis radar just to make sure. Yeah, it weakens a little bit. Most of these are severe thunderstorm warnings here in the middle, east of St. Louis. Now, when it came through St. Louis, there were a number of tornado warnings, and I was watching some of the storm chasers and video from St. Louis. They did have a lot of lowering of clouds and a lot of tornado funnel clouds or funnel cloud sightings, not necessarily tornadoes, but funnel clouds, sightings of funnel clouds. But there's the only damage that we're seeing out of a lot of these warnings is more in the way of just straight line wind damage, not necessarily, like a big tornado causing a lot of damage. We're not seeing that at all out of any of this. That doesn't mean it couldn't happen, but as we've been talking about, this line is not really, once it even comes into our area, is not forecast to produce huge tornadoes or a lot of big, like EF3 or higher tornado damage. What you would think would be, the kind of tornado damage that most of us think of, and that's where it just ravages cities and towns and just causes just so much destruction. This is not that. This is more on a smaller scale, and it's the majority of this, I would say 99% of the damage that we're hearing about is from just winds in excess of 60, 70 miles per hour. And that's what's happening in a lot of these places right now. And some have some hail, but really the hail part of this is not that big of a deal. It was a little bit earlier. Like, for instance, here is this tornado warning for parts of Illinois, central Illinois. Radar indicated rotation. This is telling us that there could be some hail about 3/4 inch in diameter. So we're talking about nickel to quarter size hail, maybe. I've seen some golf ball size hail or close to it. All these little dots here that you're seeing are lightning strikes right around Murfreesboro. That's not Tennessee, and it's spelled different. This is Murfreesboro in Illinois, okay? And then you get down into Jonesboro, Illinois, and you've got another tornado warning there. Then you've got Cape Girardeau. There's a tornado warning there. A lot of you, Cape Girardeau and that area, seeing that. But then we see just there are no warnings in this area except for severe thunderstorm warnings. But these severe thunderstorm warnings have been issued because it's more about the wind. It's more about wind damage. For instance, you can see the severe thunderstorm warning that is there in the Cape Girardeau area, and along that line, 70-mile-per-hour wind gust. And that's primarily why these severe thunderstorm warnings are being issued for the possibility of considerable tree damage, damage likely to mobile homes, roofs, and outbuildings. The majority, and I've been scrolling through these for hours and hours and hours here this afternoon. The majority of damage reports that are coming in are just like this. I have not seen one yet that is from tornado damage, an actual tornado hitting the ground and just causing tons of destruction. There's not that. And I don't think there's going to be that. As I've said from the very beginning, this is going to be everything pushing together in one main line that is going to eventually push through here in the Bowling Green, Southern Kentucky area in the next few hours. A lot of these have a tornado tag. We call them a tag, where at the very bottom of the warning it says a tornado is possible. Thunderstorm damage threat, considerable. Then you've got hail size, hail threat, all of that. Maximum wind gust tag at 70 miles per hour. So that gives us a little more information than what you would normally see about these particular warnings. Notice there's a little bit right there. This is the Missouri boot heel right there, and you get a break in the warnings. And then you see them start to ramp back up again. Let me go to the Memphis radar, and you can see after that break, here's a pretty good line that's moving right now, about to move into Dyersburg and Union City, Tennessee. So this is the Mississippi River. This is back into far western Kentucky, and that's where a tornado watch continues till about 8 p.m. So, no, actually, it's been extended to 11. It's been extended to 11. As you see, extended expires in 4 hours. So these are a lot of what's coming out now are severe thunderstorm warnings and not tornado warnings. That's a good sign. You go down toward Dyersburg, Tennessee, Blytheville, Arkansas. Paragould had, a couple of funnel clouds spotted there. Kennett, Missouri, Jonesboro, but man, it moved through very quickly. And that's the other thing that I was telling you guys. If you watched me last night or even this morning, early afternoon, these are going to move very, very, very quickly. And then everything changes to a very cold winter. It's like flipping a switch and you just switch over to winter. Now I want to show you a different radar product so you can get a sense of what is happening. All right. So I'm switching over now to radar that will show what is happening behind this system. Let me go back toward, let's say, Oklahoma City, Tulsa. Okay. Now let's go up here to Springfield, Missouri. Okay. This will show you exactly what's happening, because this has been happening. I'll use St. Louis. There we go. St. Louis radar. I knew it was one of them I was looking at. Look at this. And I can show you distance just to give you a little bit of an idea what we're dealing with here. So let me move my measuring stick out of the way. So here is the line of severe storms, tornado warnings. Champaign, Urbana, Springfield, Illinois, to get your bearings, St. Louis right here. Okay. So from this main line of severe storms to where it is now snowing 140 miles away. That's it. 140 miles behind the main storm line, it is snowing. Jefferson City, Columbia, Missouri, where they had severe weather earlier this evening, they now have snow. And look at this. Let's go up here. Let's go to Springfield, Missouri. I'm sorry, Springfield, Illinois. There's too many Springfields. But look at this. Here's all those tornado warnings. All right. Now we go to my measuring stick. Let's get this line right here, Urbana. How far away is the snow? Well, there's some right there. How far away is the snow? About 100 miles. So you've got a really strong line, intense line of thunderstorms with numerous tornado warnings. Then 100 miles behind it, everything changes to snow. That's pretty bizarre. And that's what's coming. And once that line moves into Bowling Green in southern Kentucky, you know, that switch is going to be pretty much like that. Now, what are we thinking again on the timing here in Bowling Green in southern Kentucky? Where I'm still looking at that line, just kind of following 65 anywhere, say, west of us. The time is 7:21 right now. I'm still looking at after, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. So after 9, back here into far western Kentucky, okay, about Hopkinsville. Let's go, say, 10 or so just west of Bowling Green and 65, and then looking at 11 east of 65 and over toward, let's say, what? Hart, Green, Adair, a little bit close to that. And then we're going to go midnight or after to the east. That seems to be the updated timing because this line is actually moving a little faster than what we were looking at even a few hours ago. Now, here's the other thing that I want you to understand about this whole thing. This line right here, this is like what we call a prefrontal line of storms. There's some lightning, but not a lot. That's right now just west of Madisonville, and Evansville is getting rain, and Owensboro is getting rain. And here's the thing, that none of this is severe. None of it. There's no boxes. I mean, there's some flood product up here where the Ohio meets the Mississippi, but none of that is being boxed in with polygons of, tornado, severe thunderstorm. Now, here's the thing. This main line is going to catch up with this line. This usually happens in these kind of what we call linear or quasi-linear setups, because you've got wind forcing out ahead of it, then you've got wind forcing back behind it with the actual cold front, which is now a little bit west of this main line. Let's see where it is. I can put that on. It may or may not show that because it's that data may have a hard time plotting on here because I've got a lot of stuff going on in the radar sometimes. It doesn't want to do too many layers at once. It starts to struggle when that happens. But I think we can safely say that the cold front is at least somewhere in this general area, because you can see back here in parts of Missouri, that's snow, and this is cold rain. So the temperatures, let's check temperatures, and let's see what it shows here. Okay, so this again, I think I got it pretty close. So Farmington, Missouri, is at 39, and you see back here 33, right at freezing, just above it. Rolla, Missouri, and then you see 48. I mean, as soon as the line comes through with the rain and the thunderstorms and the really gusty winds, look at this, 65, and then it goes 48. We just been put under a new tornado watch live here on this broadcast. So now it's our turn, and we knew this would happen. New tornado watch now for central and southern Indiana, central and northern Kentucky. This is going to go from 7:25, which is right now, 8:25 Eastern, until 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Eastern. Now, this says a couple of tornadoes possible. That is key. That's key because they think that there won't be quite as many tornadoes as quite as many tornadoes of what we're seeing back west of us. But they still believe widespread damaging winds and isolated significant gusts, look at this, up to 80 miles per hour likely. So here's the summary. Severe squall line forecast to rapidly move east-northeast. The watch area this evening and into tonight. Damaging gust will likely be the most, here we go, hear me. Damaging wind gusts will likely be the most prevalent hazard. But a couple of tornadoes are also possible with embedded mesovortices within the squall line. And mesovortices is a $5 word for a little spin up, a little brief spin up. And I've been saying all along, that's what I expected us to have. And so everything is starting to verify. Everything is starting to fall into place. This is not, I repeat, not going to be a big tornado outbreak. Even though you see back there west of us, a lot of those tornado warning boxes, that doesn't mean there's a tornado with each one of those boxes. A lot of those warnings are being issued because they see those little spin-ups that last a few minutes and then they're over. They're gone. Because this line is moving really fast. So, big tornadoes? No, we are not going to have those. Little spin-ups at the leading edge of that line, as you see back to the west, once that line gets here, that's what we're going to have at the worst. Really, the worst that we're going to get here is damaging wind. All right. So there's your watch information. Yes, it is a watch, and it includes Adair, Allen, Barron, Breckenridge, Butler. I'm just naming off the southern Kentucky counties. Clinton, Cumberland, Edmondson, Grayson, Greene, Hardin, Hart, LaRue, Logan, Metcalf, Monroe, Ohio, Russell, Simpson, Taylor, Warren. There you go. That's all of our counties. The The tornado threat, probability of two or more tornadoes is at 30%, not very high. The probability of one or more considered strong tornadoes is 20%. But look at this. The wind, probability of 10 or more severe wind events is high at 80%. See, again, the possibility of damaging wind threat, the wind threat damage or damaging wind threat is a high 80%. Probability of one or more wind events greater than 75 miles per hour is also high at 70%. Hail, very low, minus, or not minus, but lower than 5%. So the greatest threat that we're looking at is damaging wind, not tornado. This new watch includes 1.9 million people: Louisville, Bowling Green, Frankfort, Jeffersontown, E-Town, Radcliffe. And there you go. So, new tornado watch, now in effect. And this will go again until 2 a.m. But I will again make a prediction and say that it will expire. Actually, it will be lifted before 2 a.m. because this line's going to come through way before 2 a.m. Now, this new tornado watch goes all the way over. It ends at Russell County and Casey County. And it goes down to Albany and Clinton County. So that's the eastern edge of the new tornado watch that goes until 2 a.m. tomorrow morning. Right now in Bowling Green, we're sitting at 75 degrees. I believe our high today was 77. I'll double check that. Now that we're after dark, and here's the other thing I'm looking at. I actually believe, and I've seen this happen before too, that when you get something like this out ahead of the main line, this tends to take away from this. In other words, this line out ahead of the main line tends to weaken that line. I'm not saying that that is going to happen, but it's something to consider. It's something that we will watch, certainly. Because if all this rain and the few, and I do mean few, little lightning strikes here out ahead of the main line, these little storms that are popping up here, they're not discrete, they're not by themselves, which is fantastic. You're saying, wait a minute, how can it, excuse me, well, I'll adjust my seat here because I've been sitting here a long time and I have to adjust my seat every once in a while. If we can get that first line that's about to move into Madisonville, which is not severe, now that we're past dark and I don't see any what we call discrete cells, little cells that just pop up by themselves away from a main line, since I'm not seeing that, and since we don't have sun out right now, well, the instability level has now gone down even more. But that does not mean let your guard down, but it's a good sign. And check that out. The temperature has fallen to 65 degrees with this line back into western Kentucky. It's still 72 though in Murray, but it's 62 in Mayfield. Here comes a tornado warning now that is in effect for far western Kentucky, Fulton, Carlisle, Hickman, and then into Missouri, southern Mississippi County, and eastern New Madrid County in Missouri. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing both tornadoes and extensive straight line wind damage. Located in a line extending from Minor to near Tiptonville, moving east at 40. So it's moving at a pretty good pace. Radar indicated rotation. In other words, they see the twisting, they see the spin, they see the rotation on radar, but they're not seeing anything on the ground. So these storms are moving into New Madrid. Let's see here. Big Oak Tree State Park. These are all places that are mostly in Missouri. Yeah. So it includes Interstate 69 between mile markers 1 and 8, and then 55, Interstate 55, between mile markers 40 and 63. So they're treating a lot of these tornado warnings, as there could be a tornado embedded in here. Let's take a look. And I'm, out of curiosity, going to look at the velocity product. And let me see. Yeah, Paducah. That's the nearest radar, so I'm in the right place. And just looking at this, there could be, in this kind of embedded, as this thing snakes through, there could be these little spins that happen right here where you get the little pooching out of the line. And there could be something spinning up there briefly. But again, these are not your big kahuna tornadoes. These are not those big tornadoes that do a ton of damage and just wipe away towns and suburbs and subdivisions and just rake the land. These are not those. These are very small spins, and a couple of places that I've seen video from this afternoon, a lot of those have just been little tiny what we call rope tornadoes. They look really thin, and they just kind of elevate, and you can see them just kind of elevated in the air as they move off, and you can see just a tiny, looks like a little snake just kind of roping down to the ground. And yeah, it can do some damage, but very minor damage, nothing that's big, and that's good. So now we've got, and I always hate it when we get a tornado warning that gets close to Mayfield. This is Mayfield, Kentucky, and I always think about 2021 and how devastating it was there. This is not that. By no means. Not even close. Not even close to what happened December 10th and 11th of 21, Mayfield, Kentucky. This is not going to be that. This is going to be way down on the scale from that horrible night. If anything, it's just going to be a lot of wind. A lot of wind and probably a lot of wind damage. We now have tornado warnings moving into Paducah. There you see for southwestern Pulaski, southeastern Alexander, northern Carlisle, Ballard in Kentucky, southwestern McCracken, that would be the Paducah area, McCracken County. Radar indicated rotation, not observed, not confirmed. A lot of that warning will be around La Center at 7:45, so that's just in a few minutes. So, yeah, these are mostly radar indicated tornadoes and not on the ground tornadoes. But I don't want to assume too much. Now, you can look at this. Here's this again is the velocity inbound, outbound winds. You don't see a whole lot of rotation, but there's just enough. Like you'll get a little place here and there, maybe like this, where you see a bright green next to the red. There could be something there, little kinks in the line that are kind of suspect. And then you get this right here. This is for the warning that's going into tornado warning to Pulaski, Alexander, Carlisle, Ballard that I just mentioned. There, north of Cairo, Illinois. It's Cairo, by the way. Cairo is interesting. You go US 51, you go across the river. This is where the Ohio River and the Mississippi River come together. There's a little town right, this is Illinois, right there, that little piece between the Mississippi and the Ohio River. There's this little town called Cairo. That's how you say it. Like Karo syrup, Karo, Cairo. Now, the little town of Cairo, there's only a few people that live there now, but I've been there several times. It is spooky because most of Cairo, Illinois is abandoned. It used to be a thriving river town, but now it's pretty much abandoned. And a lot of you know I love abandoned towns and places like that. And Cairo is one of those. It's a really unique place. But Cairo and Wickliffe, Kentucky, right on the river, now under that tornado warning. In fact, there's a couple of tornado warnings there. The temperature has gone down to 65, rain-cooled air. That's going to help stabilize everything too, a little bit better. Maybe not completely, but it helps. Now, look further south, and all we're seeing now, Dyersburg, remember there was a tornado warnings back here, Kennett, Blytheville, Paragould, Jonesboro, Arkansas. Now, severe thunderstorm warnings, not tornado warnings. All the way down to Memphis. Memphis was going to get ready for tornado warnings. Now there's severe thunderstorm warnings. And look, even all the way down into Mississippi, all of these yellow, orange polygons are severe thunderstorm warnings, not tornado warnings. That is another positive sign. There's a lot of lightning with it, but we don't see quite as many suspect areas on the velocity scan with radar. This is the Memphis radar. Just outside of Memphis, a little town called Millington is where that Doppler radar site is. There's maybe a couple of little kinks here and there. Inbound, outbound winds right around the radar site where it's still 75 degrees. It's still warm. But look, down the road, down I-40, and right on the Mississippi River, that black line is the Mississippi River, and there it is, 62 degrees. But south of Memphis, it's 74. So there's a quick, after you get the main line coming through, after the main line of storms comes through, well, the temperature quickly changes with very strong winds. And look how more this has become more disorganized. And when I mean what I'm trying to say by that is you don't see a perfectly straight line. Everything is just in clusters. Now it's becoming more what we call stratiform, rainier. Okay, there's still a line there embedded as I zoom out. Yep, still, but it's looking less, shall we say, lethal. Let me turn on a composite. So now you can see a combination of radars put together. There's a storm chaser outside of Memphis, Adam Lucio. He's one of the best. Thank you, Adam. Oh, look at that. That's Memphis. Adam is in Memphis, and he's probably looking west. He's sitting at a shopping center someplace. He may say something here in a moment. Now, I will tell you while we're waiting to see what Adam's going to talk about here, or if he's going to say anything. Really, those storms are becoming more severe than tornado.
Okay.
Yeah, here it goes.
I think this chase is just about done. All this stuff is just mushy McMush. Yes, that is a official term.
Mushy McMush, that's what he called it. In other words, he's not that impressed with it.
East for tomorrow.
Now he's going to move east.
Out with this blown out window that needs to get fixed this week.
Oh. Now, he's talking about his blown out window. That happened a few days ago, and he hasn't gotten it fixed yet. If you'll recall, I put him up the other day when we had that threat of storms, and he was having just huge hail hitting his windshield. Looks like he temporarily got it fixed, but he still has a window or part of a window that's messed up. There you see a lot of lightning. This is Memphis looking live right now at 7:46 p.m. Central Time. Adam Lucio, Storm Tracker. He's just kind of like, no, this is not that impressive. And look, there is not one tornado warning anywhere in there. And even this line, this little piece out ahead of it, there's one severe thunderstorm warning in Corinth, Mississippi. That's Brett Adair. Oh, that's one of my favorite cases. Look at that. Corinth, Mississippi.
Guys, I'm gonna put the drone up in the air for you.
Oh, he's gonna
Just
launch
one
the
second
drone.
to get my
This
cable
Brett
connected.
is incredible.
Give y'all a little bit of a show here, hopefully.
He is looking at, I can tell by the way the lightning is there in the distance. You're looking at the top, the spreading out of the top of a thunderstorm.
Pretty awesome little
Yeah.
possibility right here.
So he's going to put up a drone and kind of fly up and see what he can see up there. But you can see the spreading out of the tops of those thunderstorms. As it goes up, it hits the stronger winds aloft, and it just pushes out the top of the thunderstorm, spreads it out. Now, there's his drone, and we hit Brett at the right time. Look at that. This is live here at 7:48 p.m. Storm chaser Brett Adair in Corinth, Mississippi. Sweet. So,
Pretty awesome show from the sky right here.
oh, it is.
Wow, what a shot!
Yeah. Cloud brown lightning. It's electrical. These storms are very electrical as they come in. But now they're mostly, instead of being tornado warned, they're being severe warned. Let's go up here to Jackson. This is Corey Gherkin, who's also a experienced
The good news is that
storm chaser.
that line's going to stay south of 40 for a little bit yet.
Looks like he's going down Interstate 40, I bet. Being Jackson, Tennessee,
So it
that
shouldn't be a
looks...
big deal to get back in front of it.
Yeah, just gotta watch for stuff popping north of that is my concern.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, looks like that is going to become again line. But even if the stuff to the north impacts,
See, I am getting sick of these people.
yeah.
Jesus.
Oh. See, you guys, I'm not the only one that gets upset. I had people, he's talking about people getting in his way and not letting him over, and just the way people
I make
drive.
the move.
My friend,
Uh,
What mile marker are you at, Corey?
Um, 84.8.
it looks like he's going west 40, Interstate 40, Jackson. And he's going to try to intercept in between Jackson and Memphis. But we've seen some of that light off in the distance as well. Oh no, I'm wrong. See that pointer there? That means he is going east. So yeah, he's coming out of Jackson and going east for the moment up East 40, like he's going to go toward Nashville. He may be going up 40 to get closer to Nashville, maybe toward, say, Dixon or Waverly or someplace like that, and then set up and watch all of this come that direction, because that's where it's going. But this, let's see if we can get a little motion on the radar here. Again, the good news, if you're just joining us here at 7:52 p.m. on Sunday evening, that most of the tornado warnings are now going to severe thunderstorm warnings instead, as there is now a lower risk of tornadoes. And now this is even happening in southwestern Kentucky. Notice all these tornado warnings are now switching over to severe thunderstorm warnings, including Paducah and Mayfield. And look at the temperature. 62 in Mayfield, 63 in Paducah. That's also a great piece of news. Now, there's still a few tornado warnings up here, but they're going away as you go up Interstate 24 into just south of Marion and Mount Vernon, Illinois. 24 meets up with I-57 just south of Mount Vernon. And look, these tornado warnings are all going away to no warnings. This line ahead of the main line, remember I told you a few minutes ago that this line is going to catch up with this line, and they're going to converge, and you can see it happening right there. Right where I drew the arrow, they're starting to converge together. That's also another piece of good news. Now, are we out of the woods? Absolutely not. Don't think that because I'm saying this, that all of this means we can just let our guard down, because we cannot. But I will tell you this, that everything that I'm seeing right now is a very positive sign that by the time this is all going to be one line. These two distinct lines that you see right now are going to, within the next hour or so, come together as this back line is going to catch up with the first line, and they're all going to become one line together. By the time we get to Bowling Green, it should all be one line. Now, you may be concerned that, well, we haven't had any rain out here. The temperature is still 75 degrees, while back here in the rain-cooled air, we're getting 60s. Well, let me just say again, the one more good thing that's working in our favor is that it's now after sunset. It's after dark. The temperatures are naturally, everything's going to get naturally cooler. And as the winds continue and the rains continue to move in, that's just going to make it even cooler. Now, once we get more cooler air, everything starts to stabilize even more as we go through the next several hours. As we're coming up, now we're 5 minutes away from 8 o'clock. You're going to start to see a lot of these areas to the west. In fact, you can see it right here. Watch, those red counties go away. That's the tornado watch being shaved off really earlier than expected. That's another very good sign, another positive sign. And now everything's going to start changing to snow. Let's take a look at that. Oh, Lord, look at this. While we have severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings out, look at what happens to the temperature. 70s, 60s. We just skip the 50s altogether and go to the 40s, 30s. Oh, there's the cold front now. About Jefferson City, Springfield, Missouri, and all of that. Now St. Louis, who was only an hour and a half to 2 hours ago under a tornado warning, is now getting heavy snow. It's amazing. It's amazing the change that takes place with this. It's bizarre. It really is bizarre how all of this just changes in almost a blink of an eye. Let me see. I'm getting a couple of. I'm gonna, as you're looking at this, let me put this into motion. And I may not get to all of your messages because I am keeping in touch with, obviously, Scott Burchett and Micah Henson of the News 40 weather team. And we are coordinating everything that we're doing this evening and what we're going to do next. Is this going to be a situation where we're going to need to do live coverage on television? Maybe. I see a lot of positive signs, which are great, but like I said, we're not out of the woods yet. We still have tornado warnings going on west of us. As long as there's tornado warnings, then we're kind of still like on guard. Severe thunderstorm warnings, I expected that. And I did expect a few tornado warnings. If you watched me today or yesterday, I said there's going to be tornado warnings, but they won't be these big tornadoes that just rip things apart. These will be short-lived, a few minutes long tornadoes, and then they're over. They're gone. the main threat will be the potential for damaging straight line winds. And tonight, that has been the number one threat, not tornadoes. So as this line begins to move in, it is going to produce potential wind damage, power outages. There have been a number of power outages already today. And even right now, there's a few hundred that's out there. In fact, let me let you look at this map. Let me get it updated. There is the current U.S. power outages map, thanks to poweroutage.com. And you don't see very much in Kentucky, obviously not yet, but Arkansas, they've got a bunch. They've got over 50,000 without power. In Pennsylvania, they've got a whole different thing going on up there. Not this storm, but other things going on. They're at number one, over 60,000 without power, but it has nothing to do with this storm. But there you see Oklahoma, Texas, where they've had severe weather today. They have, a number of people out, 40,000 in Texas. Oklahoma is in there as well well, they're not in the top list, but you can see, Illinois, 13,000, Missouri, about 10,000. So yeah, those storms are producing damage, and you can see, like here in Missouri, where I was pointing out a while ago, in the Boot Hill. This is called the Boot Hill for obvious reasons. It looks like a boot hill. They call it SEMO, S-E-M-O, Southeast Missouri, SEMO, or the Boot Hill of Missouri. That's where a majority of the power outages are going on right now, and you can see that in real time. So, yeah, it's kind of cool to keep up with that. Back here in Kentucky, if you're curious as to how strong the winds have been today, let me move that up so you can see it. Here in southern Kentucky, the highest winds that we've had in Bowling Green, we had a gust of 44 miles per hour. Then you've got a 45 in Franklin, a 43 in Scottsville, and then upper 30s to near 40 mile per hour winds. That's the strongest the winds have been today. They haven't been really over anything over 44, 45 miles per hour. We haven't had any 50 mile per hour winds or 60. There was one back here. That's, Webster? No, that's not Webster County. Webster's up here. But back into western Kentucky, there was a 53 mile per hour wind gust. That was in Princeton, I believe. I think that's Princeton, Kentucky, right there. So these are the highest wind gusts according to the Kentucky Mesonet stations back into western Kentucky. So just a couple of things that I wanted to show you there. Back to the radar. I'm going to send, just hang on a second, I'm going to send a message to Scott and Micah. And yeah. So while there are still warnings, here comes the first line that's about to make its way into Madisonville and up and down Interstate 69, where it meets up. This is the Western Kentucky Parkway. This is Hopkins County, Madisonville. 69 then turns right and goes and meets up with 24 in Princeton. And you can see that line is making its way right through Princeton. and down toward Interstate 24, just west of Hopkinsville. Wind advisory, okay, going into effect. Are they shaving? Did they shave off the tornado watch? Wait a minute. Let me see here. No, they didn't. I thought for a moment there I saw it change color, and I thought maybe for a moment they shaved off that. I wouldn't have done that, but hey, I've seen stranger things happen. But look, the temperature's 60 degrees west of Madisonville. 60. Rain cooled air, 60 degrees. Here's the thing. You may, in some cases where we have, if this were the daytime, let's pretend this is daytime, and the sun is coming out. Now, after the first line of storms has passed by, the sun comes back out. If we were like in the 70s and then rain cooled air put us down to 60 in between the first line and the second line, and the sun comes back out, that 60 would then just surge back up to 70 or maybe 80 degrees if the sun were out. And that would heat up the air once again to cause more instability. And then when the second line comes in, it's worse than the first. But this is nighttime now. There's a lot of wind, yes, to keep things rolling on, but this is a very good sign that maybe there's just enough weakening that this is going to not be quite the serious situation. And certainly it's not going to be a serious tornado situation. Yes, there are a number of tornado warnings still out, but let me reiterate once again that these tornado warnings are there only because there are not confirmed tornadoes. These are radar indicated spins, just enough spin in that line to warrant the Weather Service office in Paducah to issue a tornado warning. In fact, I'm going to go to their chat room. I'm in the chat room with 3 different National Weather Service offices because we are media. Sorry. I'm going to have to get me a different chair because I think this one's causing me back problems. Ooh, it hurts. I'm in 3 different chat rooms with the National Weather Service offices in Paducah, Nashville, and Louisville. The only way you can get access, not access to these rooms is if you're in the media or you're part of emergency management. So we're in media, we have access, we can talk directly to the National Weather Service. I can't show you their screen because that's prohibited, but I can tell you what we're talking about in the chat room between us and them. They're reporting a few trees down in South Fulton, Tennessee, back to the west. Rainfall rates are over an inch and a half an hour. Back into Fulton County. That's from the Fulton County Amateur Radio Club. So Ham Radio is talking about that. No reports or rotation or damage back in Hickman County, even though in Hickman County, Kentucky, they activated the sirens because of the tornado warning. Circulation back that way seen on radar, but nothing confirmed. There's been a little bit of damage, some power lines in Cambria, Illinois. Power lines tipping and sparking, flickers in parts of southern Illinois when the line went through there. Power outages and trees down in Jackson County, Illinois. Reports of damage in Cape Girardeau. They don't specify what that damage is. A couple of power outages. Again, this is all, I mean, it's all pretty minor stuff. And I'm just going through what they're showing from the Paducah National Weather Service office. And there's just not a lot of things going on. Okay. So you see the line. We're back to the line that's out ahead of it, Madisonville to Hopkinsville now. I'm going to turn on real-time radar, and I'm going to go to Paducah's radar. So this is now, you can see the scan, you can see the sweep, and we are looking at just that incredible line, two of them. And now you see the little white dots, those are lightning strikes. And some of you are seeing the lightning back off toward Hopkinsville and Todd County, because I'm monitoring what you're saying in the comments. And I would turn on the comments, but it would start to muddy up everything here. But let me just explain this, is that this line, first of all, the thing I notice is that this line from top to bottom has no warnings of any kind. It has lightning and it has a lot of wind, but it has no warnings. The second thing that I notice is that we go from 70s, 74 right now in Bowling Green at 8:11 p.m. if you're watching me live. 70s right here as the line approaches Madisonville. Behind this first line, temperatures fall to 60, 63, 62. Then the second line is now coming through Paducah. And right behind it, I mean almost immediately as the line passes through, the temperatures go down even more. 51, 47, 46, and then into the 30s, and then it turns to snow. That's the process. That's what's happening. Let's go up here to Evansville, that line, and we check that radar. There's a number of flood warnings, but those were there before tonight. Those have been there since the last round of rain and thunderstorms. Yeah, there's a few tornado warnings. Radar indicated, not confirmed. Here's another one. Radar indicated. Let's go on down. The line has little kinks in it here and there. Not as strong as it was. Another warning, radar indicated, just north of Paducah. Paducah itself is under a tornado warning, radar indicated. Then we have another tornado warning, radar indicated, that's dissolving in 2 minutes. Then it goes to Mayfield. I know Mayfield is like, thank goodness. No tornado warning here. It's a severe thunderstorm warning. There's a tornado warning south of Mayfield, but again, it's radar indicated. All right. And we go on down the line. Let's turn on now the Memphis radar. And look, now everything is east of Memphis, moving into Jackson, Tennessee, Lexington, Tennessee. Now down here toward Corinth, Mississippi, and was that around Savannah, Tennessee. pretty good strong thunderstorms. It looks like with, I would say, some hail is embedded in that one. Radar indicated, yeah, look at the hail, 1 inch. Anytime you see those purples there and you see it flashing, that's really intense rain and probably a lot of hail. All the little white circles, those are lightning strikes. And there is it Brett? Yeah, Brett Adair is right outside. I hear sirens.
Well, there's always something fun about it. Yes, the tornado sirens are going off.
But
I think you guys can see in the lower right there that we are in Corinth, Mississippi.
mm-hmm.
Just on the southeast side of town. Hit this wiper one time.
Brett is just outstanding. I don't know him personally, but I've followed him for years. He is not your normal storm chaser. He's not the guy that goes, let's go chasing. He's actually in it for the education and to help us in situations like this. Yeah. He gets excited about, yeah.
Oh, we got a substantial increase in gate to gate there, south of Kossuth. Coming right at us.
Yeah.
Excuse me, goodness.
Listen, you're liable to hear anything in these, and they know they're broadcasting.
Yeah.
So he's talking about this right here. He's right here looking at the storm. Or you can hear the tornado sirens going off in Corinth.
God, that's a bad bolt, dude.
Some great lightning. Corinth, Mississippi is where he is. Almost,
The more intense circulation is in the backside to the north a little bit.
yep, right there.
That ain't debris, is it?
I'm going to go to the velocity.
No, it's rear inflow though.
Yeah, he's looking at this is the suspect area right here.
Half the trees in deadgum Alcorn County gonna be down in a minute.
Yeah, he's got that right. I mean, if nothing else, it's a tornado warning, but is there a tornado? That's questionable. But regardless of that, and this is the point I've tried to make to you guys, it doesn't take a tornado warning. The trees and stuff
Might
and
go
damage
just
can
to
happen with
south
just the
east of
wind.
Here, where we're sitting.
Power flash.
To the
Right
north.
over there. Right over there. Big, giant, slow light up blue. Just behind that Starbucks on
That's
the
where
other
that
side of the
wind.
highway.
That's where the wind is.
Yeah, so he's looking right there. Oh,
Good God! Actually, that might be a tornado. Watch. That is. There's CC on that tornado to the north of Corinth. It's in a donut hole up there. My radar depicts it pretty well. That may be tornado on the ground up there. This one may be trying to go too. I don't know if I have time. I'm betting I don't right now. Oh yeah.
Cranking again, isn't it?
Up north it is.
What do you want to do?
that could be a tornado.
Not much we can do. The one down south of Ripley near Dumas is starting now. That's going to go right toward Iuka.
Oh, I know Iuka. Been there many, many times. Iuka's a neat little town. Almost there on the Natchez Trace, not far from Natchez Trace once you go down to US 72.
Okay, yes, it got tighter to our southwest now. It's about to cross 45, so it ain't far from us. Oh, there you go. She's tightening up now.
That's a big high DBZ hook right there.
Right, yeah, I know. Hold on.
Ah, there it
It's a little
is.
south of it, but
There it is.
oh no, that's a nudger. Look,
Right there.
that's why that's intensifying. It's about to nudge right into it.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Inbound, outbound.
Good spot.
There's the likely tornado that he's looking at. This is Corinth, north of Corinth, Mississippi. That Brett Adair is looking at. Wow.
Taste the wind a little bit.
And it keeps moving. I'm checking some things while we're looking at this, and that's why I'm just sitting on this one, because it's probably the most active storm right now that could actually have a tornado with it.
Flag's blowing west, so yeah, we need to go a little bit south. We may have debris now though on that thing. Yeah, we got a debris signature forming just south of 45, looks like, or west of 45. On that nudge. I mean, there's trees down everywhere. Can't you see? All right, guys, here we go.
Who? Now you guys get on to me for saying things. You know, these guys, they're like, hey, they're out there doing their job, so this is definitely PG rated, and maybe at times a little R rated, but they're out there doing the work. And like I said about Brett Adair,
East and south.
he is not in it for the fame or the glory or look at me chasing. He is in it to really study these things.
See if
And
that nudger causes it to explode on the velocities here in just a second.
wow. So this is the possible tornado, and it looks like something right here is, look how the lightning's clustering up right there. I'm sure he's seeing it too. This right here. And now it's going to a severe thunderstorm warning. That's interesting. I don't think he's seen that.
Hold on.
Well, okay. So enough of that. I wish I could, I'm kind of like some of you guys. I just want to sit and watch that. I could watch that for a long, long time. But if there's an actual tornado, it's right there just north of Corinth, Mississippi, going into southern Middle Tennessee near Savannah. Okay. But now let's come back toward home. Come back toward our neck of the woods. We're still, what? We're still a little bit away from this first line. We're 60 miles away. And if the storms are moving east at 40, then it's not going to be, it's not going to be long. Let's see, I'm doing some messages here. So again, this first line is most likely going to catch up with the second line and they are going to converge. We still have a few warnings right there on the Mississippi River, tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings. I am about to look at data coming in from the Paducah Weather Office. Public safety working a tree fire in Water Valley that's in Fulton County, Kentucky, Western Kentucky. 900 residents or more without power in Hickman County, no reports of damage. Power line down in Waverly, not Tennessee, Waverly, that would be Missouri, I believe, Union County. No, it may be Kentucky, Waverly, Kentucky. 77 customers without power. Robust line of storms moving through southern Illinois, far western Kentucky will sweep eastward through the evening hours, damaging wind gust, primary severe weather threat, but a few tornadoes are also possible, according to them. But zero, none, no confirmed tornadoes with any of the warnings that are back there. None. That is a good sign. Now, I know we've got a lot of people watching, and I know you're wanting to know when things are going to hit and what it's going to do. All I can tell you is still, it looks like, as you can see, with the forward movement of those two lines, that we're looking at sometime between 9 and 10 o'clock, I would say, with at least the first line coming through. But by that time, the second line that you see may join up with the first line. And that's also a good thing to happen, because then one tends to weaken the other. And we're after dark. There's little instability. The instability levels come down. Temperatures are coming down. As soon as it starts raining, the temperature comes down, and that just helps stabilize things even more. Just I'm doing a couple of messages here, messaging News 40, messaging my team, whether we need to be fully activated or just do coverage like I'm doing, on Facebook, social media. And we may switch over to that as the evening continues here. If we start to see less and less number of tornado warnings, then I will not go to the station because it is Sunday night, and the next thing I'm thinking of already is, what about tomorrow morning? And I've got to get up and do tomorrow morning. And what I'm going to be covering tomorrow morning most likely is two things: wind damage coverage and snow. Yes, snow. There is snow on the backside of this. As soon as that second line passes through, and as soon as the temperatures start to rocket downward, the rain changes over to snow and the winds are still there, and it's going to turn very cold and snow like later tonight and overnight and in the morning. Not a lot of snow, maybe a dusting for some, but it's going to snow. It's going to go quickly from spring back to winter. And, technically we're still in winter, not spring. Spring doesn't start until, what, Tuesday, I think? No, Friday. Friday's the 20th. Yeah. So we're still looking at after 9, 9:30, 10 o'clock arrival of the storms that you're seeing right there on radar. Okay, you can hear me texting here. I'm just texting my team as we're talking back and forth live. Here it is, 8:30, as you're watching. Let's see. And thank you guys for being with me here tonight. I actually had planned on stopping this coverage at some point and then going to the TV station, but I don't think that's going to be quite necessary now. We have Scott and we have Micah there, and they're ready just in case. If something should go a little wonky, then they're ready to go. So we're going to cover this from, this angle, that angle. We got it covered. Crawls down at the bottom of your screen on News 40 on TV. We know we've got a lot of, there's NBA basketball going on. There was the selection show that happened earlier this evening. We were hoping that this stuff didn't come through then, because we know that we would be just, raked over the coals if we were to interrupt the NCAA selection show. But, if there were tornado warnings, certainly we would have done that. No doubt. But we know that that can be one of those things, especially in Kentucky, that you just do not interrupt a Kentucky game or the NCAA selection show. That's two things you can be really just, you can be, I don't even want to go there. Don't even want to go there. Okay, you're going to hear me. I'm sending out a voice text to the rest of my team at News 40. Since I am the weather chief at News 40, there are times that we're activated, times that we're not activated. I need to let the rest of my team know what they need to do in case they're not watching this, okay? So you're going to hear me say some things, and this is just me talking to them, but you can listen in. I'm not going to say anything that you don't already know, okay? So here goes. It appears that the storms are weakening. There are fewer and fewer tornado warnings now with this system as it moves in, period. I still believe the storms are going to move in sometime between 9 and 10 o'clock, period. But they should be in a much weaker state, still packing, though, a lot of lightning, heavy rain, and the potential for damaging wind. But the overall number of warnings, both tornado and severe thunderstorm, are going way down. And the temperatures are coming down with the passage of these lines as well, period. Micah and Scott are watching, keeping an eye on things, but I don't think we're going to need everyone there to do cut-ins, period. Still, I think news reporters and teams need to be prepared to possibly go out and find areas of wind damage and power outages that look to be possible once these lines come through, period. If you need to get in touch with me, please text me. I am currently doing live on my Facebook and social media pages with an update as the lines come in, but I'm going to hold back here at home because the systems are weakening as they begin to move toward our area. This is all very good news, period. Okay. Now, you heard me say what I needed to say to them as a long and lengthy, of course, message, but yeah, these are looking much less lethal. Okay. So they're acknowledging my, they're acknowledging my, so I'm getting thumbs up, I'm getting text messages back. See, it's all about communication. It really is all about communication. You got to be able to, and I've learned this through 40 years of doing this, and I've been from the most archaic era in weather coverage, from when we just had one computer back in the late 80s, mid to late 80s. We had one computer, then we got two, then we got five, then we got 10, then we got a dozen, and now we have social media, now we have internet, now we have all the things that when I first started doing weather, we had none of this. This that you're looking at right now is amazing to me, that we have this kind of technology and we can do this kind of a thing where I can come to you from my home and do a live broadcast. I mean, I may have thought, well, wouldn't that be cool if we could do that? And then people would go, oh, that's never going to happen. Oh, it's happening. Here we are. And I'm just so thankful I get to be a part of that. I've gone through 4 decades almost of starting from hardly anything when you had 3 channels on your TV. Then we got cable, then we got satellite, and now we have streaming. I've been through all of that. And I kept saying one day, I told somebody, I can still remember, I guess it was in the late 70s or early 80s. I can remember telling somebody, wouldn't it be cool if we could just get a radar on, like, that you could carry with you, a radar. Well, I didn't know there was going to be internet. I didn't know that we were going to have phones like this and the technology to do that in real time. I mean, wow. Yeah, that is where we are. And I, for one, absolutely love it because I'm a geek. I'm a nerd, always have been. Love this stuff. And to be able to track and show those storm chasers in other parts of the country tracking down tornadoes, and you saw it live. Like it was television. I just think that's so cool. All right, we do have a Let me stop this motion. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning now that has just popped up, which is this is no surprise, really. Southwestern Muhlenberg County, Central Christian County, and Northern Todd County until 9:30. It's 8:39 right now, 8:40. This will be until 9:30. So the Paducah office occasionally does this. They do what's called a long fuse warning. Instead of something that's just going to be for a few minutes, because this is a big line or more of a linear system that's coming in and not just one storm. It's a line. So they do a longer form or a longer fuse warning in these cases. So they're showing a severe thunderstorm located over Hopkinsville, moving northeast at 45. Could be some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Radar indicated, the damage to roofs, siding, and trees, the usual stuff. Locations: Hopkinsville, Crofton, Weir, Clifty, and Allegheny. This is along Interstate 24 and the Pennyroyal Parkway. There is no tornado tag. Down here at the bottom, this is the tag. There is no tornado tag at all. Another good sign. So this is not a tornado warning. No, it's a severe thunderstorm warning for east of Hopkinsville, for that right there. And you can see there's, it is a little notchy here, but the strongest of the winds are coming right there along 169, just north of Hopkinsville. So there's damaging wind potential there. But that's it. And there I see 1, 2, all right, there they are. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4 lightning strikes. 5 now. That's it. Not a lot of lightning, but just enough instability for that to pop. Let's put on velocity. And here you can see that we've got, and keep in mind, the radar is in Hopkinsville. Is this? Yeah. The radar is just down the road near Trenton. Okay. Fort Campbell, there's Oak Grove, Fort Campbell, Trenton. It's right in there, what we call the Fort Campbell radar, near the base. But there you go. This is where the strongest of the winds going over the radar coming in. These are inbound. The green is the inbound winds, the red, the outbound. Now, there may be, it does look like there may be sort of a couplet there, but they have not gone tornado warned on that. It's mostly straight line winds just north of Hopkinsville. So that is why they posted that severe thunderstorm warning. Okay, just checking a few other things here. And you guys I have right now, I'm just a few eyeballs away from over 2,000, just going over 2,000 viewers. Right now, viewers, not, yeah. Oh, I just hit 2,000. I wish I could show you that, but it just clicked over. Thank you. Wow. I love that. Thank you guys for being with me. Here it is, 8:44. This is all live and in real time if you're watching me here on this Sunday night, March 15th. I wish I could get to all of your comments, but there's just too much going on right now for that. Now, here is an updated scan. As you can see, I've got it on the live scan coming from the Doppler radar site in Fort Campbell. I've got it on velocity so I can see inbound and outbound. All I'm seeing right now is a lot of green. So this means at this point, this is all winds just coming down to the ground in a pretty good clip here just north of Hopkinsville. And those winds could be in excess of 60 miles per hour. And yeah, it can do a little bit of damage, you know, knock over some things. And that's basically even back to the west where there were the tornado warnings. Even there, I have not seen any reports of tornado damage. It's all been straight line damage. Now that's a really healthy cell, or not a cell necessarily, but part of this line. That's looking fairly intense right there. That would be south of, is that 169? I believe it is. Or 41A, maybe, no, there's 41. Okay. So going north out of Hopkinsville. But that is, now it's moved north. Just as I was going to draw on it, it went north pretty quickly. This is all moving pretty quickly. Now, you may notice this right here, and it looks like there could be something there, like an inflow notch. That almost looks like an inflow notch. But at the moment, it's not being flagged as such. It's just the way the storm is looking at the moment. Yeah. So this is continuing to push off. You can see the arrow there pushing off to the north and east. So we're starting to, let's take a look here. On the north end of this, here we're getting where you go up toward Vincennes, Indiana, Jasper, Indiana, and those two locations right there where line 2 is catching up to line 1, and they're starting to converge right around Vincennes, Indiana. And then it's kind of split as you go toward Evansville. Evansville has now fallen to 63 degrees. Look at this. While Owensboro's at 71. 71 in Owensboro, but 63 in Evansville. Big drop in temperature. That's helping. This line is actually helping destabilize the second line, which was supposed to be the strongest line. But all of this that formed out ahead of the main line has helped bring down the instability. And therefore, look, there's hardly any warnings. There's a severe thunderstorm warning north of Evansville. But then you go down the line, down the line, down the line. Now, once you get to Murray and Hopkinsville, of course, with the first line, and then the second line, there's a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings, and even down into Tennessee. Look at that. No tornado warnings. This is all beginning to really fall apart. Not necessarily fall apart, but it's beginning to lose that potential energy needed to produce a tornado threat. The wind damage threat is still there. Don't let your guard down on that. Wind damage potential is still there here at 8:49 on this Sunday night. Lots of lightning, some with the first line, not a whole lot, but with the second line as it comes through, you can see it there, lots of lightning. This little kink right here between, it would be the land between the lakes along 68 as you're going out and crossing over Barkley and Kentucky Lake. You know, those little kinks right there, there's Lake Barkley. That's a pretty good little wind-driven little area right there. Yeah, it's all in one direction, though. There's nothing really rotating. If I were seeing a lot of red against this green, I would be a little more concerned, but no. Eddyville, that's where 69 meets up with 24. Then you go over toward Grand Rivers, in that area, and then all the way down to Lake Barkley and Kentucky Lake. There's nothing that sends a red flag to me that says this is tornado type stuff. It's just not. Which is certainly good news, right? And then it just gets behind this second line back here now, Paducah. I'm not sure what their temperature is at the moment. But the rain is now tapering off, and it's going to start going to snow. Not that far behind. Look at the temperatures. 74 here in Bowling Green. 72 in Hopkinsville. Then it's 62. That's in Western Kentucky. 63 in Murray. 62 is that Mayfield. Yeah, okay. Paducah, for some reason, not showing their temperature. But look. In Cairo, Illinois, remember I showed you Cairo? It's 47. 72 in Hopkinsville, but it's 47 in Cairo, Illinois. Not that far away from one another. So a little bit of light, chilly rain that's falling back there in southeastern Missouri. This will soon change over to snow. How do I know? Well, let's look at this. That is snow. Springfield, Illinois, into Missouri. St. Louis getting snow. Columbia getting snow. Look at Kansas City. Look at all that. All that blue, that's snow. Look, 30 degrees. 20s back here at Kansas City, 28, 29 with snow. It's not that far behind. It's coming. It is coming. You see these tornado warnings up here? This is way up here, moving toward Terre Haute, Indiana. This is the Illinois-Indiana border. Tornado warning near Terre Haute, one near Vincennes, Indiana, which is right on the Illinois-Indiana border. This is the Wabash River, that black squiggly line, the Wabash River. Here's the, look, there's the cold front. That's the first time I've seen the cold front, I think, tonight on the radar. scan. I had it turned on, but it wasn't showing up earlier. But there it is. And look at these temperatures falling as the front comes in. Vincennes is at 62. And as the cold front is coming in, a good 20-degree drop in temperature as the cold front approaches. There's not going to be any more severe weather after that. These places that are under warnings, they're about to go away that quickly. And I would say our tornado watch is going to go away way before 2 a.m. It's not going to be that long before we can say goodbye and good night to all of this. We're almost there. Almost there. There is now one little tornado warning right there. Let me get a better radar. There we go. Well, I don't know why there's a tornado warning there because there's nothing to show. Huh. Oh, it expired 10 minutes ago. Okay. Excuse me. Well, why is the box still there? That's kind of odd. That threw me off there for a second. I'm like, why is that there? All right. Hardly any severe thunderstorm or tornado warnings until you get down into Tennessee. There's still Murray under a severe thunderstorm warning for the next 4 minutes. Then it's over. Then there's one warning back there toward Paducah. Oh, it expired 26 minutes ago. Well, some of these boxes are staying on here when the warnings are over, and I'm not sure why. Maybe I need to do a refresh. Yeah, that cleared a few of them out. Okay, yep. Now we're good. So we've got this one with the first line, the only warning that's on the first line of storms. Good for another, say, 30 minutes till 9:30, just east of Hopkinsville. But look, the second line has none. Got a lot of lightning, heavy rain, gusty winds, but no warnings of any kind. And then on the first line, this is the only warning box, severe thunderstorm warning. And then right there at Lake Barkley and just south of there, that is a severe thunderstorm warning. Look, it looks like Cadiz, Trigg County. Yep, southern Trigg County. Until 9:15. So in another 15 minutes, that severe thunderstorm warning will expire. 60-mile-per-hour wind gust, penny-size hail. There's a little bit of hail with that one. Land between the lakes area. Tornado possible? Well, I didn't really see a lot in the way of velocity. No. Look at that. You can see that. Look, this is a really good example of a gust front right there. Look at that. Winds coming in and just whoosh, right down to the ground. Upper winds are really, really strong. You know, we're talking 80, 90, 100 miles per hour once you go a few hundred feet above us. And those winds are transferring down to the ground. And when they come down to the ground, they're going to be not as strong, but still pretty strong, 60, maybe up to 70 miles per hour. But that's it. And that of course can do some damage. Okay. I'm just checking. Okay. So no tornado warning. This is all straight line winds. Doing the little pooch out. You can see it right there. Notice, yeah. That's really one of those signs that when you look at it, you can just tell. If you're in the path of that right there, if you're in that path, you're likely going to get some straight line wind damage, and that includes Caydas. Right off of I-24, 68 goes out that direction toward Lake Barkley. You're likely to get some damage there, and southern Trigg County. I don't see any rotation going on. None at all. That's all straight line wind. Pretty evident right there. And that straight line wind looks like it may be headed toward Hopkinsville. But look, Hopkinsville, the temperature in Hopkinsville, thanks to the rain now, has cooled down to 64. You were in the 70s only, what, an hour ago? You were like 72, 73. And now you've cooled to 64. This is good. This is good. Yeah, there's still a lot of lightning. All those white dots back there, lightning. Lots of lightning. Very electrical storm. But it's overall weakening enough to where we may not have to worry about any more tornado warnings, at least here in southern Kentucky or the 270. Now, further south, Nashville, a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings there. Pretty long line along that line, which now is one line further south. The nearest tornado warning is down here in just south of Savannah, Tennessee, from that storm that Brett Adair was tracking out of Corinth, Mississippi. It's now moving, say, up toward Waynesboro, Tennessee. But that's way down in southern Tennessee, almost on the Alabama-Mississippi border down here. There are no more tornado warnings around here. This is Evansville, Henderson. No warnings really of any kind there. Then you have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings all the way up to Terre Haute, and then that's it. No tornado warnings. The only tornado warning is in southern Middle Tennessee, right there, around Savannah. Listen, folks, this is all fantastic news. Let me turn these temperatures off. Fantastic. Show the wide view here. Now we're starting to get what's called special weather statements, which is one level down from a severe thunderstorm warning. Special weather statements are put out because there's something special going on that needs to be discussed, like strong winds, but there's no severe storm. And then the news just keeps on getting better and better. Severe thunderstorm warning until 10 for Muhlenberg and Todd counties. That's a new severe thunderstorm warning. And you'll be able to see it right in here. There it is. Severe thunderstorm warning expires in 1 hour. So these are longer duration type warnings, which I've noticed the Paducah office does this in these kind of situations. These kind of situations, because they're in an area that has a lot of wide open spaces, and they can see a lot of these things really from a good vantage point back where they are, all the way over close to and west of Bowling Green. Plus they have the Hopkinsville radar as another set of eyes, if you will, to watch these. So you can see how these are just south of Greenville. Greenville would be Muhlenberg County. And then we get into places like Weir, Tiwapiti. Yes, there is such a town, Tiwapiti. You go down 181, you go there between Elkton, you go up 181 through Clifty, and you go up through Tiwapiti. Then you go over to Allegheny, Sharon Grove, Fearsville. Yes, there is a Fearsville at 107, Kentucky 107, 189, which goes up to Madisonville, Earlington, those areas. And 41, of course, and 169, the interstate, which used to be the Pennyrile Parkway, and now it's US 169, or Interstate 169, that follows 41A north. So this is where the new severe thunderstorm warning is, and they put this out because there is likely the potential for wind damage. This is velocity. I don't see any gate-to-gate shear going on, or the greens and the reds coming together. There's just these embedded little places where you get this brighter red indicating potential wind damage. There's one little spot right there that is a little suspect, but that's it. Greenville Road, 181. There's Rosewood, 171 and 853. There's the Apex community. Yeah, to give you your bearings. But that's it. Okay, now I'm going to do something here that a lot of you may agree or disagree with. I'm going to take one more look at everything going on from a very wide perspective. Now that we're after 9 o'clock, I still think the storms, or at least the main line, is still maybe an hour away from Bowling Green. This may have slowed down a little bit, but there are, even though there's still some severe thunderstorm warnings because of the wind component, this first line is now decaying and will soon join with the second line. There's going to be some lightning, there's going to be some wind, but the tornado threat is not completely over, I can't, obviously the watch is still up until 2, but I really, really don't think it's going to be in effect all the way through 2 a.m. I think it's because look, the front's back here, right there. That blue line is the cold front. With the air stabilizing, the air turning cooler as soon as it rains, there's no sun. With all of that in consideration, I am going to cease my coverage here. The storms are still going to come through, Bowling Green. They're still going to be windy, loud, thunder, lightning, gusty wind, heavy rain for a few minutes. Really, the worst of the storm is the first few minutes. And I'm talking the first 30 minutes maybe. It's going to blow. It's going to be loud with the thunder and the lightning. You're going to hear the winds gusting. But then it just turns cold. And then it's over. Then it's going to snow. Overnight tonight, you're going to go to bed tonight, wake up in the morning, and there's going to be very cold air, and it's going to snow. It's not going to be a lot of snow, but there will be a dusting of snow. And there's likely to be some school closings or delays in the morning. So I'm going to go to bed and get ready for that because I'll have to get up at 2:45. That's when I get up because it's a Monday morning. I'll get up early. I may get up earlier than that just to kind of collect all the information from tonight, between tonight and tomorrow morning, to have ready for News 40 Sunrise in the morning. So, on that note, to all, how many? 2,500? To all 2,500 of you, and those of you that have been watching this evening, just know that everything that you're seeing right now is weakening mile by mile. It may not be completely weakened by the time it reaches your house, Bowling Green, Campbellsville, E-Town, Columbia, Eastern Kentucky. It may not be completely done, but it's not going to be a tornado producing big deal. Just a lot of wind, a lot of rain, some lightning, then it's going to be done, and then it's going to turn cold. All right? So thank you all for watching 270 Weather. Watch News 40 in the morning, News 40 Sunrise at 6 a.m., and I will have the very latest on the big change, the cold change that is going to hit us overnight tonight and for the next couple of days. Actually, it's going to be cold, but not for long. Again, thank you, everybody. God bless you. And don't forget, for those of you who are new here tonight, I do this every night in between 6 and 7 p.m. So if you want the weather coverage like this and you like what you see tonight, I do this every night, 7 nights a week, right here. YouTube, I have the YouTube channel, Facebook, X, Instagram, and even TikTok. I'm there. Then in the mornings, I'm on News 40, WNKY, here in Bowling Green, News 40 Sunrise at 6 a.m., News 40 at 9, and News 40 at noon. Have a good one, everybody. God bless you.